My name is Dana Mills, and the day I found out what my brother did, I was sitting in a bank office on a plastic chair holding a coffee I never touched. The loan officer slid a folder across the desk. "Ms. Mills," she said, "we need you to explain why your signature appears on these documents." I looked down at the paper. I had never seen it before in my life. "Because," I said slowly, "I didn't sign that." She nodded, like she already knew. "Ms. Mills," she said, "we record all our calls. Every single one." I'm Dana. I'm 36 years old. I live in Akron, Ohio. I manage inventory for a mid-size hardware distribution company. I've been doing it for 11 years. I'm good with numbers. I notice when things don't add up. I grew up in a house where my brother Terrell was the one everyone talked about. He had the personality, he had the ideas, he could walk into a room and make everyone feel like they'd been waiting for him. I was the quiet one, the one who showed up early and stayed late, the one who made sure the bills were paid and the details were handled. Our parents used to call us the dreamer and the backbone. They meant it as a compliment to both of us. I'm not sure Terrell ever saw it that way. When my father passed 4 years ago, he left us two things: a small life insurance payout, $40,000 split evenly, and his auto repair shop on Granger Avenue. Dad had built it from nothing over 30 years. 6 bays, loyal customers, a real business. He left it to both of us equally. Terrell wanted to expand. I wanted to be careful. We'd been going back and forth about it for months. I wasn't against growing. I just wanted to understand the numbers first. I wanted to see a real plan before we took on debt. Terrell said I was holding him back. I said I was protecting what Dad built. We were still arguing about it when everything fell apart. Before I keep going, where are you watching from today? Drop your city in the comments. And if this is your first time here, hit subscribe. New story every single week, and I promise they are worth your time. It was a Tuesday in March when I got the call from Midwest Community Bank. A woman named Carol asked if I could come in to discuss the business account. She said there were some documents that needed to be reviewed. She was polite but careful with her words, the way people are when they already know something you don't. I went in the next morning. That's when she slid the folder across the desk. Inside were loan documents, a business expansion loan for $85,000, taken out 3 weeks earlier against the shop, against the building my father spent 30 years paying off. My name was on every page as co-owner and co-borrower. My signature was on the final authorization line. I had not signed anything. I had not been to that bank. I had not agreed to any loan. I looked up at Carol. "I didn't sign these," I said. She folded her hands on the desk. "Ms. Mills, before we go any further, I want you to know that every conversation related to this account has been recorded. Every phone call, every authorization, everything." I felt something cold move through me. "How much has already been dispersed?" I asked. $60,000, she said. 3 weeks ago. I drove home. I called Terrell. He picked up on the second ring, which surprised me. I thought he'd let it go to voicemail. The bank called me. Silence. Terrell. "Dana, listen, I was going to tell you. I just needed to move fast. The contractor had another job lined up, and if I didn't secure the funds that week..." "You forged my signature," I said. "It's our business. You would have said yes eventually." "That is not how that works." "Dana, calm down. The money is already in the account. The renovation starts next month. This is good for both of us." "Did you sign my name, or did you have someone else do it?" Another silence. That silence told me everything. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed going through everything in my head. The timeline, the amounts, what I knew and what I still needed to find out. By morning, I had a list. What they didn't know was that I had been quietly building that list for longer than they realized, because this wasn't the first time numbers hadn't added up. 6 months earlier, I'd noticed small withdrawals from the business account. $50 here, $100 there. Nothing dramatic, but consistent. I had written every one of them down. Dates, amounts, descriptions. I hadn't said anything yet. I'd been waiting to understand the full picture before I moved. Now, I had the full picture. There was one thing nobody had checked: the bank's phone records. Every call made to authorize account changes. Every voice on every recording. I hadn't made any of those calls. But someone had called, used my name, and approved an $85,000 loan. And the bank had recorded every word. I called a woman named Shirley Patterson. She was a small business attorney who had done some work for a friend of mine 2 years back. My friend said she was the kind of lawyer who read everything twice and never got loud. I needed someone who didn't get loud. I met with Shirley the next afternoon and brought everything: the loan documents, my own records of the account withdrawals, screenshots of text messages where Terrell had pushed me to sign expansion paperwork I'd declined, and the name of the loan officer at the bank. Shirley listened. She took notes in a small green notebook. When I finished, she looked up. "Dana," she said, "what you're describing is bank fraud and identity theft. Both are federal offenses." I nodded. "The recordings are the key," she said. "If someone impersonated you on those calls, we need to hear them." She filed a formal legal request to the bank for the audio records the next morning. It took 9 days. When the files came back, Shirley called me and said 4 words. It wasn't even close. The recordings were clear. A woman's voice, not mine, had called the bank 3 times over 2 weeks. She had given my full name, my date of birth, my address, and the last 4 digits of my Social Security number. She had confirmed the loan terms. She had given verbal authorization. Her voice was nothing like mine. Different accent, different cadence, completely different. On the 3rd call, a bank representative had asked a security question: the name of the street I grew up on. The woman on the recording said the wrong street. She said Maple. I grew up on Caldwell. The bank flagged it internally, but the loan had already been partially processed. That's why Carol had called me in. They suspected something was wrong before I ever walked through the door. Shirley filed an emergency motion to freeze the business account and void the loan authorization. She also submitted the recordings to the county prosecutor's office with a formal fraud complaint. Carol was contacted by investigators on a Wednesday. By Thursday, he had retained an attorney. By Friday, his attorney had called Shirley to discuss the possibility of Carol repaying the $60,000 that had already been dispersed in exchange for Dana not pursuing full criminal charges. I told Shirley to tell them I'd think about it. I took a week. The meeting happened at Shirley's office, neutral ground. Terrell sat across from me for the first time since I'd found out. He looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, just smaller. His attorney did most of the talking: repayment plan, formal apology, Carol relinquishing his share of management decisions at the shop for 2 years. When his attorney finished, I looked at Terrell directly. "Dad built that shop," I said. 30 years, 6 days a week. He missed birthdays and holidays, and he never complained once because he was building something for us. Carol didn't say anything. "You didn't just steal from me," I said. "You stole from him." I signed the agreement: full repayment over 18 months, shop management in my hands alone, and a separate legal notation that if any further fraud was discovered, the criminal complaint would be refiled immediately. I stood up. I picked up my bag. Carol said my name as I reached the door. I stopped, but I didn't turn around. "I hope you find something worth building someday. Something that's actually yours." I walked out. The shop is doing fine. Better than fine, actually. I hired a manager named Roy who worked for my dad years ago and knew every regular customer by name. In 8 months, we increased monthly revenue by 22%. No risky expansion, no $85,000 loan, just good work done consistently. I drink my coffee on the same stool my dad used to sit on when he did the books at the end of the day. Sometimes I think about him, how he never cut corners, how he shook hands and kept his word. That's the whole inheritance, really. Not the building, not the account, the way he moved through the world. That part, nobody can forge. If someone has ever used your name, your trust, your silence against you, I want you to know something. The moment you stop being afraid of what you'll find is the moment everything shifts. You already have more than you think. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you would have done, or tell me your own story. I read every single one. And hit that like button. Help this story reach someone who needs to hear it today. Every week, someone finds this channel at exactly the right moment. If that person is you today, welcome. Subscribe and stay. We are just getting started.